right, Flint. Phil, we are live after some of our technical stuff here. How's it going tonight?
Good, Mark. How you doing?
Good, good. Well, another Friday night. Looks like we got some rain and some weather impacting some of the games tonight.
Yeah, so I've been monitoring. And by the way, welcome in everybody to our second week of Extra Point with Phil Jones and Mark Dykes. Hope you guys like our brand new scoreboard show. We're going to be with you until midnight tonight, checking in on all the scores. Like Mark just said, we've got a lot of weather delays that have affected games. I've been monitoring, though, pretty much all the games statewide, and we've really got some big time games that are being able to be played, some big upsets that could be brewing, and we're going to bring you up to speed on all the action, including some of the weather delays that we've got. We've got several games that have been postponed till tomorrow, and we're going to bring you up to speed on all the action for the next couple of hours. So, Mark, I hope everybody can settle in for the next 2 hours, and we're going to have a big time tonight.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm checking out the Milton. I don't think I'm very familiar with the First Academy, I believe is who they're playing tonight, but they're giving Milton all they can handle.
What's that score right now, Mark? Do you know?
Uh, their score at halftime is 14 to 10, but I gotta say that the First Academy, to me, they looked a little bit better. Milton had a punt return for a touchdown.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so be curious to see how the second half turns out with that game. But they look good. Also, Derek Baker did not start.
Really? Well, we
Yes.
know, and of course, you guys were up there. We know that he injured his hand, and I know he was a question mark. So, going to be interesting to see how that affects Milton going forward. Guys, for those of you that are checking into the show, if you're new, we like to hear where you're checking us out from, what game you're interested in. If you're at a game, maybe you're coming home from a game, maybe your game got postponed tonight, weather delay, wherever the situation, bring us up to speed because you guys are our lifeline. So we want to know what's happening with whatever games you guys are out. And again, you guys are our lifeline. So we'll be commenting as much about what you guys are talking about as much as what we are talking about tonight. Mark, I can tell you we got some scores coming in. Speaking of giving all they can handle, talking about Milton, you've got Raven Gap giving the Grayson Rams all they can handle. Now, the last report I had on that game is Raven Gap up on Grayson 12-7. That game was 12-0. And I believe that game is early or probably now midway through the third quarter. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. Obviously, Grayson considered the best team in the state, all classifications. But Raven Gap, Nakuchi is one of these crazy teams, Mark. They're in Georgia, but they're right on the Georgia-North Carolina line. So they compete in the North Carolina Independent Schools Association. In fact, they won the state championship in their particular classification last year. So they're a pretty good team, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with them. Of course, they're at Grayson. I know Grayson played them last year, won the game, but it would be a shock to me for them to go in and beat Grayson. But hey, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're getting some updates. Chandler Howell tells us Tiff game has been canceled. They're going to play tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That's Tiff County and Gadsden County out of Florida. Claudia Noel Maine gives us an update. Lowndes all over Mount Zion. That's Mount Zion Jonesboro, 56-0. Claudia, thanks so much for that update. I know, Mark, the last score I had was Valdosta, about the same score. They're in the 50s as Valdosta over Monday Mill, and that game is being played at Bazemore Hyder Stadium, Mark.
No surprise there. We knew both Valdosta and Lowndes would roll tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim Thompson tells us Swainsboro up 27-13. Actually, that game is going final. Swainsboro defeats ECI 27-13. Swainsboro trying to battle their way back to the top of the heap where they have enjoyed customarily being. Had a little bit of a down year last year, but Swainsboro, a big win tonight over ECI, 27-13. Guys, keep those scores coming into you or into us. Michael Baxter. Good evening, Phil and Mark and everyone at ITG. Next, Michael, what's happening, brother? Adam Estes. Did Lee ever finish? I don't think so. The last I heard, Mark, not sure if you were aware of this, Lee County playing Hateville Charter tonight, 0-0 was the last score I had at the half.
That's a little bit of a shock.
That's a lot of a shot. Yeah, a lot. Big time. Big
Well,
time
listen,
shot.
I think, the first week happens and, Lee County looked all world. We're looking at teams, but, I think week 2 will remind us this is high school football. These are kids. You never know what's going to happen. I would be very shocked if Lee County lost that game.
Ware County Coffee going at it tonight over at Memorial Stadium in Waycross. And again, they were affected by weather. Got a little bit of a late start. Right now, Larry Pope gives us an update. Says Ware's up 24-14 against Coffee. So how about that? 24-14, Ware up by 10 over Coffee. Again, another one of those games. Two really good teams going at it. Not really sure how they were going to wind up. Jamie Fraley Seeger. What's up, Jamie? Gives us an update on Camden and East Lake out of Florida. Camden all over East Lake. That's 57-33. 57-33, Camden in the fourth quarter. Thanks, Jamie. Appreciate that update.
Yeah, that Coffee Ware game, there's no love lost between those two teams.
Well, you're right about that. One of those big South Georgia slobber knockers.
Yes, where are they? They're at Coffee, I believe, aren't they?
I think it's at Ware County, at Memorial Stadium, Mark, in Waycross.
Where? I was going to say, okay. Well, listen, make sure if you're tailgating out there, of course, with the weather, that probably kind of messed up some of the tailgating. Make sure to send us a photo or some video of your tailgate. If you have it, you'd be in the running for our Sunset Farm Foods tailgate of the week.
Absolutely. Coffee. Speaking of coffee was our first winner in our Sunset Farms tailgate competition, Mark. So congratulations to our coffee tailgaters. They got quite the tailgate crew.
Yeah, no surprise there. Those guys know how to do it. Look, I just see that Milton is getting beat by the First Academy 17-14.
What was that score?
17-14.
17-14. How about that? So,
and I got to tell you, I was watching some of that game, and the First Academy, they look good. So
McEachern, they're one of my dark horse teams to watch. This is a courtesy of my buddy Michael, who's director of football operations up at McEachern. They're taking on North Cobb tonight, and McEachern shuts out North Cobb 28-0.
McEachern's off to a great start.
They really are. Mark, earlier in the offseason, there were 5 teams I thought that might be worth watching that really weren't on anybody's radar. McEachern was one of those teams, and so far so good. They're really looking strong. That was a big win tonight for them over North Cobb. Big win.
Well, I know they were down a little bit the last few years, but McEachern, there's some history there. That program, they certainly had good years.
They really have. They really have. So these are the games that I can tell you guys that we know that have been postponed until tomorrow. Tift County will play at 2:00 tomorrow. Richmond Hill. Who was Richmond Hill going to play tonight? Richmond Hill, they have been postponed to until tomorrow. I'm not sure. I know Colquitt County and Monroe were in a delay. I think the coaches were going to meet. Okay, and the last I've been told is that Sean Calhoun and the Monroe head football coach have decided that there would be no curfew stopping that game tonight. So if they do get that game underway in Moultrie, they're going to play until it's over, no matter if it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Usually there is a curfew for high school football games in Georgia, which I believe is midnight. So those coaches, though, have agreed that there's not going to be any curfew stopping them tonight. So if we get an update, if anybody can pass along an update on Colquitt County, please do so.
Yeah, it looks like somebody is saying the Packer game is canceled. It will not be rescheduled.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to tell you, after last week, I was up in Atlanta for the Collins and Grayson game, and I think kickoff happened about 9:50. That was a long night, of course, especially since I was driving back south after the game. But it's tough to keep getting those delays. It just kind of throws everything off.
Yeah.
Evidently, the weather's been bad all around South Georgia, but for this time of the year, that's to be expected.
Yeah, I tell you, we're of course I'm based in Valdosta, and I'm going to tell you, it absolutely flooded for about 3 straight hours today. I'm surprised that these games locally were able to get going at all. But, for these teams, this is another argument, Mark, for a lot of these teams that are installing the artificial turf. If you've got the turf, you can get by with a little bit of rain versus the natural grass, just one of many advantages that the turf gives you.
Certainly, if you got the right kind of turf, you can get by with a lot of rain. But yeah, if you're playing on grass, and especially a high school, it's going to be hard for them to have a natural grass field that can be maintained that that will hold up in any kind of weather. Certainly, if it's been raining for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk just for a second, Mark. Let's talk about Milton for a second. I think you just gave us an update that Milton was behind to First Academy. That's part of the Broward County Classic that's being played down there in South Florida this weekend. Cardinal Gibbons and Archbishop McCarthy started off last night with Archbishop McCarthy defeating the Chiefs of my buddy Matt DeBuck by a touchdown, 42-35. But I wanted to talk to you about Milton, Mark. And I've always said, of course, my favorite saying, you go as your quarterback goes. Mark, that's like my number one saying when it comes to high school football teams. And I'm going to tell you, and I know that Milton lost more than just Luke Nickel, but boy, doesn't it really make all the difference in the world when you've got a quarterback like a Luke Nickel and then you don't. And that's not a shot at any of these young men who are coming up behind him. In fact, it's really unfair to compare anybody to Luke Nickel. But boy, there's a mighty big shoes to fill for a quarterback that led you to back-to-back state championships. And of course, I don't know what the winning streak was, 25 straight games, I believe, which was snapped last week at Buford. But unbelievable when you talk about this. Just goes to show you how good that Luke Nickel is.
Yeah, and to be fair, Milton's playing without Derek Baker, who is going to be their number one quarterback. And so I believe it's the freshman that came in that is playing field. I believe the First Academy is in Orlando. I don't think they're in, or unless the First Academy is in Fort Lauderdale, but I believe they're in Orlando.
I think you're right. And guys, I think another little factoid on that First Academy team, they were caught, I believe, they were hit with some kind of suspension before the season that I believe is going to cost them a chance at the playoffs in the postseason. So it's not like they have nothing to play for. But if that is the case, Mark, if they can't, if they're not eligible for the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure they're not, First Academy, we can go back and research it, but they got caught with some kind of violations in the preseason. So if they're not eligible for the playoffs, Mark, this kind of game against Milton is their championship game. This is what they're playing for.
This is their Super Bowl. They're playing Milton, nationally ranked. Of course, I don't know. Was Milton still nationally ranked after the loss at Buford coming into this week?
I believe they were. They fell quite a bit, and if they don't, if not able to make a comeback tonight, they'll probably, fall out of the national rankings altogether. But we're going to see. We'll see if we can get an update on that one. By the way, I want to thank my buddy Alan Clanton, who's been keeping me updated throughout the evening on a lot of different scores. By the way, big shout out, congratulations to Jackson Dean, Berrien County head coach. He's completely changed the culture there at that team in Nashville. And they pick up a big win last night. In fact, they had a running back ran for over 300 yards, 6 touchdowns. Gene Watson is his name. He's not even the starting running back. Probably going to be a shoe-in for one of our top 10 performers, which, by the way, if you guys have got some players out there that are having outstanding top performer type nights, please let us know. We need official stats from them, but obviously looking for any of these young players, student athletes who are having some top performance type of nights.
Yeah, Phil, I've got the Milton First Academy game up over here as I keep glancing over to it, but they're not displaying the score on the screen, so I can't really tell what's going on. But anyway, Milton's got the ball. They're driving. In fact, they're on about the 15-yard line of the First Academy. Not sure what the score was. Just got a message that Buford and Benedictine are tied 7-7.
Yeah, I was getting updates on that game. Again, another game that's been affected by lightning delays. So 7-7. Pretty much what I thought. I tell you, I think Benedictine, they lost to Colquitt County last week, Mark, on a last-second field goal from Josh Scroggins. He's the young man that's never even played football before. We talked about him. I think Benedictine, though, is a little bit better team. Actually, I think they're a lot better team than what they showed against Colquitt County last week. I don't think they played their best game. Of course, a lot of teams can say that trying to go into the hog pen, Mark, and trying to play in that
That's
place.
what I said. When we were talking, I said prior to the game, I think you were kind of leaning toward Benedictine. I said, look, I got to go to the hog pen. The hog pen is worth a touchdown. I mean, it's hard to go in there and win. I knew Sean Calhoun had those guys ready to go. By the way, I love the way Sean Calhoun started his coach's show with the hog hat on. You gotta love that.
I kidded with it, Mark. I said, you can do that when you started off the year with a big win.
A great way to start. First class guy. Cares about those kids. Of course, he wants to win, but great leader.
Brian Bird is just sent us a message. Brian says, Phil, I think coffee is deactivated. Has that game been called?
Decaffeinated coffee.
Is that what he's okay?
Okay, they have been decaffeinated. All right. How about Brian Bird coming up with that one?
Brian with a little late Friday night humor. I love it.
That's a little win there. Decaffeinated coffee.
Leslie Fennell, give us an update. Mark, I got to tell you, I know that Valdosta, I know these teams, they have to schedule games. They have to fulfill their schedule. But Valdosta all over Monday meal. 40, what is it? Leslie says 60-14. Good gracious.
Again, no surprise there. I mean, that last year's score was not much different than that. So, be interesting to see for both Valdosta and Lounge as they get into the schedule and get into the region so that, we'll know exactly what they have.
Leslie, thank you for that update. Appreciate that. I assume you're a Valdosta fan about them Wildcats. All right, Alan Clanton gives us an update. 14-13 clinch. I think that's clinch in Wilcox. Crazy game going on there. Alan, is that thing at where's that at? Is that in Homerville? Let's see, where is Wilcox? Rochelle. I believe that's in Rochelle, if I'm not mistaken. 14-13, Jim Dickerson and Clinch, who, by the way, moved up into our number one spot this week, Mark, in their particular classification. See if they can hang on to that.
Well, a big fan of Jim Dickerson. I mean, listen, had a chance to get over and talk with him before the season started. And look, the guy's been coaching forever, been around school forever. He retires, and he gets retired. And 2 weeks after he retires, he starts driving a bus because he wants something to do and he wants to kind of get back close to to the kids, to the school. I'm like, Coach Dickinson, 2 weeks, and you start driving a bus. I mean, that's not exactly the easiest thing to be doing. You got to get up early and get all
Yeah.
those kids there, but that just tells you how much he cares about that community and those kids. He's a first class guy. Listen, Cleach will be a winner with him for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Mark, I don't know that they're going to let him get away again. You know, he retired
Listen,
and he come
I
back.
believe Coach Dickerson will be there coaching until he's 80. I mean, he'll just keep
Golly,
on going.
all right,
Hey,
Brooks.
I
Yeah,
was at Thomasville
yeah.
last week, and they had a teacher. I forget her name, and she taught for 59 years. 59.
Oh,
Think about that.
wow.
I don't know, man. Coach, hey, who knows? Coach Dickerson may give her a run for her money.
Check this out. Bruce Carter gives us an update, weather-related stuff. Says Baker County and Rock Springs were called due to weather, and he also gives us an update. Says Baconton Charter and Atkinson County had a lightning strike right near the field,
Oh,
and
goodness.
that game was called as well.
Yeah, I
So
think if
weather
lightning
affecting these
strikes on the
games.
field, I think it's time to go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a little too close for comfort there, right?
Yeah, so it looks like Milton just scored. I do not know what again, they're not displaying the score on the screen, but they're kicking an extra point.
All right, now Andrew Watkins is telling us that Monroe is up on Colquitt County. Now, come on
What?
now. That
No.
can't be true.
Yeah, it's
Andrew
not
says, I
April
just checked
Fool's.
and it is true. I don't think that's
No,
right.
no. Listen, I was looking at some scores last week, and who did Gainesville play last week? Um,
Marietta.
Marietta. So I looked, and it showed in the first quarter they were getting beat 14-0 on some website I was looking at. And I'm like, wow, Gainesville's getting beat 14-0. And then it turns out they had that all messed up. Gainesville was all over them. So I don't know that you can trust all these scores you run across sometimes.
Right. It is tough. And I tell you, here's the problem. You know, Max Preps, anybody can sign up to be, I think, what's called a team manager or a team reporter. And so if you get approved, you know, which nobody should do that, but anybody can go in and put any kind of score in. So you're right. And I'm not just picking on Max Prep. It can be anybody. But so here's one, Mark, that I've been keeping an eye on. Rush Probst brings his Coosa Christian team to Blackshear, Georgia tonight to take on Ryan Herring in Pierce County. Coosa was leading this game 7-0 at the half. Right now, Alan Clanton is giving us an update. Pierce County has battled back. Pierce County now leads Coosa 20-7. So it looks like Coosa, they enjoyed their short run, led 7-0 at the half, but they now trail Pierce County 20-7. But hey, give Coosa credit. They're giving Pierce County all they can handle over there in Blackshear tonight.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Coosa. I mean, how big is that school? They hadn't been around that long. Of course, I don't know. Rush seems to always find some players somewhere. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe he just hadn't got them on the same page over there yet. But yeah, I have no idea about Coosa.
Yeah, they're a 2A school in Alabama. And of course, Pierce County is a 2A school. Of course, here in Georgia. We were talking earlier about Gainesville. Gainesville played Moody, Alabama last night, and they had rain up there. I think that game was delayed for a while by about 30 minutes. But Moody, Alabama, defending, I think they went to the state championship game in Class 7A last year over in Alabama, but Gainesville had no problem with them last night up in Gainesville at beautiful City Park, 49-7, the final score. Coach Niblett and the Red Elephants off to a 2-0 start, and they win 49-7 last night.
Look, I believe the way things are beginning to shape up. Now, of course, you never know. Milton, you can never count them out. But who knows? Could be Thomas County Central Gainesville showdown.
You're right. You're absolutely right. By the way, Thomas County Central all over Cairo tonight. Cairo's got Thomas County Central got a substantial lead in that game. By the way, we are hearing that Colquitt and Monroe, they never even opened the gates at the Hog Pen. And again, that game has been canceled due to the weather. Brad Ruiz gives us the update. Brad, has that game been rescheduled, or are they just going to not call it? Mark, some of these non-region games, really, you have to think, is it worth asking a team to stay overnight, or even worse, driving home and then driving back tomorrow, all for a non-region game? I think both coaches probably just need to probably agree to just forego this game and be done with it.
I mean, I think the hard part is look, it's only the second game. I think these coaches want to get some playing time in, some game time in. And I think it is a little tough when you miss a game, and if it's a non-region game, odds are they're not going to make it up.
Well, here's the thing, Mark, and we talked about this today. So Colquitt County really would have liked to have gotten this game in. They had the tough game against Benedictine last week. Look, and nothing against Monroe, but Colquitt probably could have got a lot of guys playing time tonight, Mark. So, but next week, Colquitt's going to have to make the long road trip to North Gwinnett.
And that will be no easy game. North Gwinnett has a good program, solid team. So I know that Coach Calhoun would have liked to have played that game tonight.
Juancimo Villalobos is checking in from Gainesville. Speaking of Gainesville, Juancimo, what's going on, brother? Thanks so much for checking us out. Yep.
Looks like Ware has defeated Coffin 24-14.
Okay. So there we go. So Worth County has defeated. No, I'm sorry. Go
ahead. I watched that game a little bit earlier. Worth was putting it on pretty early.
Yeah, 28-0, and that is the game. That is the final game. Was called with 6:31 left in the second quarter. Worth County all over Irwin, 28-0, and that is the final.
Yeah, only in the second quarter. If they'd have kept going, who knows how much they'd have scored.
Adam Estes has said, I've got a question. Since I bought my tickets on GoFan app, will I be able to use them tomorrow for Tift? I would think they would honor your ticket for a game that's been rescheduled.
Yeah, for sure. They'll have to do that.
Big game up in the north part of the state. Brent Westbrook's giving us an update. Cartersville, 39-14 on Rockmart. That's in the third quarter. Rockmart starting a freshman quarterback. A lot of people were talking about him last week. Somebody give us an update on that young man. Rockmart losing 39-14 to Cartersville.
So I'd be curious to know that Buford Benedictine score. Last we heard it was 7-7.
Yeah, anybody got anything on that score? That game being played over at Memorial Stadium in Savannah, which, by the way, last time I looked at the radar, a lot of the rain was pushing to the east. That may not bode well for that game. And boy, wouldn't you hate to see a game of that magnitude that everybody's been looking forward to? Benedictine Buford again. It's not a region game, not two teams from the same classification, but it is a game, a high-profile game that you'd like to see played to its completion. And let's hope that they'll be able to get that one in. And if anybody's got an update on that one, let us know.
How about Benedictine, though, traveling to the Hog Pen, playing Colquitt in game one, and then hosting Buford in game two? I mean, you're talking about a non-region schedule.
Yeah, that's Danny Britt with Benedictine. He's kind of known for being the riverboat gambler. Will play anybody, anywhere. And so, again, really hoping they can get that game to fruition tonight. Tony
Yeah,
Wynn. Yeah, go
watch
ahead,
out
Mark.
if you're in Benedictine's region. They'll certainly be prepared.
Yeah, Tony Wynn gives us an update. Thomas County Central 42 to nothing and a half. I understand that Cairo opened that game. Probably not the best idea from Coach Coleman, but I guess if you're a big underdog, you want to try to do everything you can, pull out all the stops. Cairo opened that game with an onside kick tonight. The only problem with an onside kick, if it doesn't work, you give a team like Thomas County Central the ball around midfield, which is exactly what happened. And on the very first play from scrimmage, Thomas County Central throws, I think, close to about a 48, 49-yard pass for a touchdown. So, and it's all been downhill from there for Cairo. And again, they trail 42 to nothing to Thomas County Central, who may very well have the best team in the state.
I
Well,
think
they
you're
are
right
really
about
looking tough.
that.
Yeah.
TCC's offense, I mean, they're very balanced. They can throw it, they can run it. We know they have a great talent on the defensive side of the ball. Uh, they'll be a hard out this year.
All right, guys, some updates that we had from earlier. If anybody's got any updates on these games, we would love to hear from you. The last thing that we heard, this was right when we started the show at 10 o'clock. Raven Gap, up in the far northeast corner of the state, right on the North Carolina-Georgia border. Raven Gap, 12 to 7 over Grayson. I have not heard an update since we started the show. If anybody can give us an update on Raven Gap, not Raven County, but Raven Gap, Nakuchi, and Grayson. We had Raven Gap 12 to 7. They're defending North Carolina state champion, albeit in the North Carolina private school, independent school association. But hey, don't let that fool you. They are a tough bunch. But looking for an update on that. Also looking for an update. Perry and Peach County. Last I heard, it was Peach County 7 to 6 on Perry. If anybody's got an update on that, let us know. Mark, did you ever get an update on that Milton First Academy game?
Yeah, sitting here watching it, and again, they do not put the score on the screen. First Academy has the ball, but they're on about their 25. Not really sure what the score is. Going
Richard?
back to that
Yeah, go ahead.
Grayson game,
Yep.
I will be shocked if they get. I mean, look, they're at home, and I know Raven Gap, I'm sure, has a good team. I mean, they won a state championship last year, but Grayson is one of the better teams that I've seen. Their players are, again, I don't know what's going on. Maybe sometimes you can get a little overconfident, if you will, but I will be shocked if they lose that game.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that's the thing about it. When you're a really good team, you've got to maintain that high level of intensity, and that's easier said than done.
It is definitely easier said than done. Again, these are kids. You never know what kind of distractions are going on. And, of course, several of those Grayson kids, their future's already set. They know what they're going to do. But I just can't imagine them not not being ready to play and motivated. I mean, they want to go back to back. I know that's kind of the talk that was around that program, at least when I was there.
I do want to mention this. I just got an update. Richard Faircloth gives us an update. Toombs 12 to 6 over Darty. Toombs, of course, defending state champion. Toombs 12 to 6 over Darty. That game's been called with 11 minutes left in the second quarter. According to Georgia High School Association rules, a game has to go 3 quarters, 3 full quarters, to be declared an eligible game, a complete game. So going to be interested to see what happens with Toombs and Darty. If they elect to restart that game, or if it's been called, if it's just going to stay 12 to 6, is not a complete game, not an official game. Daniel James, what's up, Phil and crew? This Buford Benedictine has turned into a good one now that the weather has cleared up. Daniel, what's the update on that, brother? Don't leave us hanging, man. Daniel, thanks so much for checking into
Give
the
us the
show.
score.
All right, some updates we had earlier. Again, Berrien County won. By the way, Bainbridge and Cook finally got underway in Adel at Memorial Stadium, that brand new beauty. By the way, if you've never been to Cook Stadium, guys, you got to go. It's one of the most beautiful, biggest, best looking small school stadiums I've ever seen and been to in the state. But last thing we had, this from my buddy Dr. Mike McCartney, Yale Little Associates. Cook was up on Bainbridge 8-0. I'm assuming that's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So Cook up 8-0 on Bainbridge. Big thanks to Jeremy Rayburn giving us an update on that Thomasville Pelham game being played tonight over in Thomasville. Thomasville's leading Pelham. Looks like they're having their time with Pelham tonight over in Thomasville.
Well, I don't know if anybody's at home watching, but on ESPN2 we got St. Joe's Prep playing American Heritage. American Heritage just scored, but it's 28-21. St. Joe Prep. They have some great ball games down at that Broward County Showcase field.
Yeah, they really do. They absolutely do. All right, Jeremy Rayburn gives us a latest update, 30-0, Thomasville. He says they just got a safety. That game is still in the first half. Well, it looks like Thomasville is on their way to an easy victory in the rain tonight over in Thomasville. Dr. Mike McCartney gives me another update on the Bainbridge Cook game. Cook 15-3 over Bainbridge. Jay Walls and the Bearcats trailing Cook 15-3 at the half.
Who is Thomasville playing?
Pelham.
Pelham. Yeah, not a surprise there.
All right, did we get an update from our friend on the Buford game? I know he said that it was a pretty good game. Yeah, don't tease us, brother. Don't tell us it's a great game going back and forth and don't give us a score. Need that score for sure, my friend.
I was at Thomasville
Yeah.
earlier this week and had a chance to talk to their quarterback, and I tell you, man, he's a good-looking kid, good-looking athlete.
Who is that, Mark?
Thomasville, their quarterback.
Cam Hill.
Yeah, Cam Hill. You know, I tell you, you look at some of the athletes. Brooks County's got some great athletes, wide receiver and secondary. And the quarterbacks at Thomasville and at Worth County. I mean, there's some talent in that region.
All right, so that game, multiple updates coming across, Daniel included. My buddy Kerry Clayton is at Savannah's Memorial Stadium, 7-7. But again, with all the delays, Mark, they still got over 8 minutes left to go in the second quarter. So a long way to go in that one. 7-7, Buford and Benedictine.
That's going to be a late night for the Buford folks to finish that game up and drive back to Buford.
That is quite a haul, let me tell you. You know, we made that trip last year doing our ITG Next Game of the Week. We did the Benedictine Perry game. That game was for the region championship, by the way. And Perry won that game over Benedictine. Here's a little ditty for everybody on Benedictine. Mark, I think I mentioned this to you. Of course, Benedictine, an all-boys military school, right? If they lose, well, they don't go straight to the locker room. They have to stay on the field and run.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw it with my own eyes last year. I was like, well, man, why are they not going to the locker room? And somebody explained to me, if they lose, they're going to run. And boy, they did. So,
hey, that's old school right there.
It is, isn't it? And I tell you, Mark, it's incentive too, isn't it?
Look, I'm a firm believer, and listen, when you're at the high school level, I believe the game's more physical than at the NFL level. You can't touch the quarterback at the NFL level.
That's right.
I mean, you think about it, throw a flag all the time, and again, now they're toying with wanting to have female coaches in the NFL. I mean,
Yep.
really? I, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but let's be real. Come on.
I hear you.
I don't think we're going to see that at the high school level.
Mickey Brady gives us an update. Where beats Coffee 24-14. I think we had gotten that final earlier, but Mickey, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Let us know where you're watching the game at, guys. I know we got a lot of people watching, but let us know where you're checking out the game from.
We
And
just got
again,
an update. Yep. Grayson is up 14-12 on Raven Gap in the second quarter.
How about that?
No surprise there. I believe the Burgess, Travis Burgess, just said, "Hey, wait a minute, what are we doing? We can't have this."
Update on Collins Hill. I'll tell you, my buddy Drew Swick, good guy, has done a great job since taking over that Collins Hill football team. Of course, they made a great run to the quarterfinals last year. In fact, they handed Grayson their only loss of the season last year. But we were at Collins Hill a year ago tonight for this game. Tonight they're at Woodward Academy. It's Collins Hill, Woodward Academy. Last we heard was Woodward Academy up 13-0 on Collins Hill. Collins Hill only gets the 3 points against Grayson last week. So looking for an update. Collins Hill right now desperately searching for some points and some offense.
Yeah, they struggled against Grayson last week, but again, Grayson has an incredible defense. They've given up 12 points in the game tonight in the second quarter, but Collins Hill just could not get anything going. It seems like if they did, it looked like, well, hey, maybe they're going to get something. Then they would have a penalty or something would happen, and they just could never get it going. I believe they had gave up 3 safeties in that game.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Mickey Brady adds, and we knew this about Coffee. Mike Coe had told us in the preseason, said that Mickey Brady says Coffee is some kind of young. And we knew they would be. Mike Coe again had mentioned that. But I tell you, I still tell you, I think Coffee's going to be right there at the end. That's just the kind of coach you get with Mike Coe.
Well, you can't count them out. I think last year is proof of that. Again, I think TCC is going to be tough in that region.
Milton has defeated First Academy, Mark. That's just coming over from Wansimo Villalobos. Milton 24-17 over First Academy.
I got to tell you, I'm sitting here and I see the game's over, and you would think they would, show a score. I mean, what are they thinking? And I was even watching it, and I was listening to the audio before we started, and there's no play-by-play or anything. You just occasionally hear the PA announcer at the stadium.
That's crazy.
Again, I gotta give Ben Reeves a lot of credit for them to go down there and win that game. And
no doubt.
Without their starting quarterback, they are a very well coached team, and they had a chance against Buford at the end.
Yep.
I personally thought, well, hey, this game now Buford may just start to roll, but you cannot count Milton out. They are very well coached.
So, Mark, you're right. That is a big victory. We cannot overstate how big that is for Milton and Coach Ben Reeves. Mark, you said it. You're going without your starting quarterback. You're going against a really good First Academy team. You had to take a long bus ride from the north part of Georgia to the southern part of Florida. What is that? Probably 12 hours, 10, 12 hours.
I think they're in Orlando. Either way, that's still a long way from
Milton. It is. Right.
Yeah.
So we are hearing that Collins Hill has lost. They were down 13-0. They're able to get a touchdown, but Collins Hill loses 13-7 to Woodward Academy. Collins Hill and Drew Swick fall to 0-2 on the year. So hopefully Collins Hill can find some offense and get their season going. Again, they're yet to get into their region schedule. That's saving grace there. Peach County, this is a little bit of I won't say a shocker, Mark, but a surprise somewhat. Peach County has defeated Perry 27-6. That's according to Kenny White. Kenny, thank you for that, brother.
That score is surprising to me.
And thanks to Jane Harbin Cuppet, gives us the Collins Hill update. Want to be sure to give us credit where credit's due. On Simo Villalobos, the score on Milton. Thank you for that, one Simo.
I'm just seeing too. It looks like Buford just scored, so they're up 14-7.
So Buford up 14-7 on Benedictine. Again, that game being delayed. Just about every game, I think, Mark, that's still going on. Obviously, with it being 10:47, probably games either just approaching halftime or right around the midway point.
Sounds like that. I don't believe they're at halftime yet. Again, it's going to be a long night, but I wish I could. I couldn't find the Buford game. I know it's not on the NFHS stream. I could not find it. I don't know where it's being streamed.
Guys, let us know. Just tell us hello. Tell us where you're watching the show from. Don't be bashful. We'd love to hear from you. This is something that we just added. This is our second week of our new Friday night scoreboard show. Of course, don't forget Monday night. It's our original Extra Point show that Mark and I host. So we look forward to seeing you guys back on Monday. On Monday's show, of course, we'll have all the scores. We'll know where everything is. And don't forget, Monday, we'll be able to give you guys updates and finals on all these games that are going to be played tomorrow. So don't forget that. We'll be able to give you updates on Monday. So two shows for the price of one, even though it's absolutely free. Both of them are free. So Mickey Brady and Mickey and Justin King both talking about the sophomore running back Reynolds for coffee. I know they got the DeBruce kid as well. KJ DeBruce, I believe. Listen, you can bet Mike Coe is always going to have a solid rushing game.
Well, that's what he does.
No doubt. No doubt. Alan Clanton gives us a confirmation on that Worth score. Worth 28-0 over Irwin. Alan says apparently the refs called it after the second quarter. Now, again, my understanding is if it doesn't go 3 quarters, it's not an official game. So we're going to see how that pans out as far as the official records for that. Mike Thompson, did Thomasville lose tonight? No, sir, Mike. They are up by a bunch.
All right, so Phil, I've actually got the Buford Benedictine game live now.
Okay.
Yes, 14-7, 2 minutes 45 seconds ticking in the second quarter.
All right, Mark. So Mark can give us live updates as it's going on.
I can do the play-by-play, you know.
Kenny White tells us Jefferson is over Jackson County 10-3. That's a final. Now, is that the Jefferson Dragons, Kenny? If so, how about that?
So, Phil, I'm just sitting here thinking, we, of course, got the show tonight, finish at midnight. I'm getting up early in the morning, driving down to Fort Lauderdale to go to the St. Thomas Aquinas Modern Day game.
Absolutely.
That should be a good one.
That should be a good one. So, Mark, that's part of the Broward County Classic, right?
Yes, it is. You got to think, Modern Day coming from California, I mean, they got to be bringing at least 100+ people. You got to think all those plane tickets and, getting there. I mean, some expense going on for them to come play in this thing.
Mark, tell our viewers, you actually went out to Modern Day last year. interviewed the coach. We got a lot of video footage of the campus and their facilities. Kind of share with our viewers, ITG Next. We're not only in Georgia, man. We are coast to coast if we need to be, following the absolute best programs in the country. But talk about that real quick.
Yeah, modern day, great place. I've been out there a couple of times, had a chance to interview the coach. They started last year was his first year. Won a national championship his first year. How about that? But incredible facilities. But I got to tell you, first class people. They're a Catholic school. They are not shy about sharing their faith. In fact, they put their faith out there a lot, which I really like. And I found a common theme in a lot of these very successful programs at all levels is great leadership, great people, and a degree of faith in the program.
Well, don't you love that?
Yeah, I mean, in modern days in Santa Ana, California, it's about 40 miles, I guess, outside of LA. It's a beautiful campus, great facilities. They've got about like a four-story parking garage on the campus, but I mean, clearly everybody knows them for football, but every sport they excel in. I mean, the national championships in volleyball and basketball and just great people at modern day.
So there you go. By the way, guys, that video that we're talking about is archived at ITG Next. So if you want to check it out and get a behind the scenes look at the modern day, the high school, the team you hear so much about, the program, Mark went out there and talked with the coach. Again, got plenty of video footage of the campus, that program. So take a look at it. You can find that on our website, ITG Next Georgia, or itgnext.com. All right, people are asking about an update on Chris County and Lovett. Justin Newman, the new head coach at Chris. Of course, he was the guy that led that ferocious Carver Columbus defense. Chris County goes out and hires him this offseason to take over their head coaching spot. The last I heard, Chris was up on Lovett 10-7. Now, that's the last I have heard. Jamie Ledger now give us an update. Okay, so they lose 17-10. They had that 10-0 lead, but they lose 17-10. So there you go. Jamie Ledger, big Chris fan. Jamie, I know you hate that, but I think you guys have got a great coach. You guys have got the right guy to lead the program. Baby steps, Jamie, but Coach Newman's going to be the right guy for that program up there in Cordele for sure.
Where was that game being played, Phil?
I think it was at Cordele. Jamie Ledger, where was that game being played at tonight? Was it up in Atlanta? Lovett, I believe, is there in Buckhead, if I'm not mistaken. Give us an update on that, Jamie. Where was that game at? Juancimo Villalobos says Westlake will be at Gainesville next week. Gainesville looking to go 3-0.
Well, I don't think that'll surprise any of us. Juancimo, Gainesville being 3-0. Coach Niblett, a little upset. If he's not playing there, if he's not playing at the end, not a successful season for him. So he'll have those guys ready to go. We've got some great athletes on that team.
I was watching, there was a feed of that Gainesville Moody, Alabama game last night. I think it was a station out of Alabama. I don't know actually where I saw that. No, I think it was maybe the Gainesville Red Elephants staff who were videoing the entrance of Gainesville, making their entrance into the stadium. I'm going to tell you, that is an impressive looking thing. But Coach Josh Niblett was leading the Red Elephants wearing his cowboy hat last night.
Listen, yeah, he will be looking the part. That's just part of what he does.
You're right. You're right. He is a colorful. I tell you what, though, he walks the walk and talks the talk. Guys, Mark and I both know that. We've had interaction with the guy, a great Christian man, and he backs up what he talks. I can promise you that.
He does. We're definitely going to get up there this year at some point. Uh, do something with Gainesville. I always enjoy being around the Gainesville program and Coach Niblett and Adam Lindsay. They do a great job.
They really do. Want to thank Adam for all he does and Coach Niblett. And we were up there last year, our ITG Next Game of the Week last year. We were fortunate to bring everybody the Milton Gainesville game. And so that was a great game. Milton came away winning that one. Our buddy Rosser Sutherland, big Marietta fan, checking in from Marietta. Rosser, I know, was over in Cumming tonight for the West Forsyth Marietta game. Listen, Marietta fans are excited. They got Cameron Duke. He's their new coach, Mark. We've all dealt with him. Cameron Duke comes up from Edgewater of Orlando, takes over the Marietta program. He's got those folks excited about Marietta football again. Mark, we've talked about there are several programs in the state. You know, Thomasville, the city of Thomasville needs good football. It's important to have good football in Thomasville. And I'm talking about for all the programs there. And they have that now. Yeah.
In South Georgia, I mean, clearly Thomasville is a great town to look. They've got good football, Thomasville, Thomas County Central, and then Valdosta with Lowndes and Valdosta. You know, we need those. We need both those cities with good football. Which, by the way, I noticed that Max Preps has Maslin and Valdosta tied for the winningest high school football program in the country. They got it both at 959.
Yeah, that's not right. It's close, but Valdosta still leads.
Well, that's what I
not right
too. And Max Preps has them. Anyway, has them tied.
Yeah, that's incorrect. But going back to my comment, I was talking about Marietta.
Buford just scored again with 14 seconds left in the second quarter.
Very good.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt you there, Phil.
Yeah, no problem. So talking about Marietta, they're excited about Cameron Duke. He's brought the excitement back to Marietta fans, and they were in a dogfight tonight over in Cumming against West Forsyth. I know that game was tied, I believe, at the half, 10-10, but unfortunately for Marietta, West Forsyth is pulled away, and Marietta loses 31-17. But again, Cameron Duke's doing a good job at Marietta. He'll have them back. He'll have them back playing Marietta brand of football, Mark.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. First year head coach coming in from Florida. It's going to take him a minute. You got to give him a few years to get going. I believe that's true anytime that you have a new coach come in. I think Marietta was down a little bit, so he certainly got a task in front of him. But he's a great guy. I'm sure he's up to it.
So, Mark, you had just mentioned about Buford. Give us that score again.
21-7, 16 seconds to go in the second.
Wow. And I'm being told that Buford will get the football to start the second half as well.
Yeah, I got to tell you, having seen Buford and Milton play, again, I think Milton is a very good team. I actually think they are better than I thought they would be, having lost all that talent. Buford winning that game was not a fluke. Of course, they have athletes. They look good. I think Buford will certainly be in it here in the end.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, so again, looking at some games, I can tell y'all Camden County played East Lake of Florida tonight. That game was close for about the first half, but Camden pulls away and wins that one. I know Jamie Fraley Seeger, a big Camden fan, was giving us an update on that one earlier. Again, Coosa Christian gave Pierce County all they could handle tonight. I say all they could handle. Now, the last we heard was that Pierce was winning. I don't know if that game has gone final, but Pierce was winning over Coosa.
Well, Phil,
After
I
Coosa,
wonder if the
yep.
refs survived that game with Rush over there. That would be the question.
Yeah, Rush is always on the refs, isn't
He will be on the ref just a little bit.
he?
He is something else, I tell you.
All right, we told you earlier. Now, so there's been some surprises so far early in the season. North Cobb looks like, maybe they have fallen off a little bit. Although you got to say McEachern's playing really good football. McEachern wins that one tonight over North Cobb. Tell you, McEachern is going to be a tough team to deal with this year. Watch out for the Indians. And by the way, you can watch, speaking of the Indians, you can watch my coaches show that I do with Kareem Reed. It's one of 6 coaches shows that we present for you guys here at ITG next. And we'll be able to talk, Mark, with Kareem Reed about McEachern's win tonight.
Well, it sounds like tonight so far that the coaches shows, I think everybody sounds like they may be happy again on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, we're bringing them good luck, right?
Yeah, what can you say? Looks like I just see someone gave us a Carver Columbus score. Carver Columbus 48, Spencer 0. Imagine that.
That's our buddy Oscar Miles, whose son KJ Miles is the big wide receiver. He's going to be joining Travis Burgess at North Carolina, Mark.
Carver Columbus is a good looking team. I tell you, I've said it man for man, 11 for 11. They can play with anybody. Now,
No
depth
doubt.
would get them with the bigger classifications, but they can play with anybody. He'll do great things at North Carolina. Carver Columbus, great kids too, by the way. I had a chance to go over and interview, talk to a lot of those kids for that state championship video we did with them. And I got to tell you, they're good folks over there. And Jarvis Jones, what a great fit. Him coming back there to coach. I don't think they'll miss a beat.
Agree. Agree 100%. So Bowden, who is going for their 4th straight state championship, they got off to a slow start tonight. Remember, Bowden got shocked last week by Fellowship Christian. In fact, they got shut out. Probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest shocker in the state in week 1. Bowden, again, going for their 4th straight state championship. They won 3 in a row. They fell behind tonight to Macon County. Remember, Macon County is coached by the former Lanier County coach, Kurt Williams. He's done a great job there at Macon. But the last I heard, Bowden had battled back to defeat Macon County, or to lead Macon County 21-14. Still looking for a final on that game if anybody's got a final.
Yeah, I was a little shocked that Bowden got beat last, but again, who knows? Anything can happen. Uh, in talking to Jim Dickerson at Clinch, I mean, Clinch had their chances against Bowden when they played them in the playoffs last year.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our buddy Obadiah Farley has joined the show. Of course, Obadiah Farley, we anoint top fans for every team. Jamie Fraley Seeger is our number 1 Camden fan. Obadiah Farley is our number 1 Thomas County Central fan. If you want to be your team's number 1 fan, well, by golly, step up, guys. And that means being a part of the show on a regular basis and giving us constant updates on your team. Kind of like our buddy one Simo Villalobos does for his Gainesville team.
Well, Obadiah's riding high. He scores 56-0 running clock. I got a feeling, Thomas County Central is going to have several games like that until they get into the region schedule. But of course, I know Obadiah's a fan no matter what, through thick or thin with them. But right now, they're riding high.
So here is our second report of a lightning strike at the stadium. We had one earlier, Mark, for that Atkinson County game. Now we're getting one. Alan Clanton tells us at that Rochelle Wilcox County game, or the Wilcox County game in Rochelle, I should say. I guess that's Wilcox. Is that Wilcox Clinch? Apparently, they're claiming a lightning strike close to the stadium hit a house.
Uh-oh.
And one of the Wilcox County coaches saw the strike and told the refs, and they stopped the game. Now, of course, they have the weather, the lightning detectors. So if it strikes, I think it's within an 8-mile radius. They've got the state-of-the-art lightning detectors. All the stadiums are equipped with these things. A lot of the games that we go to, we're on top of the press box. You can see them. The state-of-the-art weather equipment they've got, and they detect lightning strikes within 8 miles of the stadium. And if that happens, if there's a lightning strike detected within 8 miles of the stadium, it automatically causes a 30-minute minimum delay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Last week at the Collins and Grayson game, I think a guy from Rivals I met there, he had an app that would show the lightning strikes and how close they were. I think one got like 2.2 miles was the closest one. A little
is that
closer to
right?
my comfort. Uh, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like it finally got better there, but the lightning was close, a little close to my comfort anyway.
Kelly Fountain, big Rome Wolves fan. Rome is off tonight. They'll try to get back to their winning ways after suffering that tough season opening loss to Creekside last week. 48-28, final score in that one. What's up, Kelly? Alan's telling us that apparently the lightning strike was 0.3 of a mile away, but the alarm never went off.
They might better check that out.
I'd say so.
Well,
Yeah,
back in the day, you just keep playing just about. I mean, they didn't have the devices that would, tell you how close the lightning was. I mean, they just keep playing through it.
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Again, it's a little after 11 o'clock. 1 hour in the books in our Friday night, week 2 of our Friday night extra point special scoreboard show. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm Phil Jones. You see Mark Dykes with me tonight. And again, Mark and I'll be hosting the Monday night version of Extra Point as well. Not only are we bringing you up to speed on some scores tonight, but we're also looking for your scores. It's kind of a give and take thing that we do here. We want to hear from you guys. Let us know what game you were at tonight. Was there weather delays at your game tonight? If you're going, how many of you are going to a makeup game tomorrow? That's what I'm interested to know, Mark. How much is it worth to you guys to go watch your team on a Saturday afternoon? Might be a little hot.
Say it's going to be a little hot. Are there any college football games on tomorrow? I think there's a few games, aren't there, tomorrow?
You know what? I'm not even sure.
I know the following
Yeah,
week everybody's playing, but I believe there's a few games tomorrow. But yeah, you're talking about starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They might better have some IVs on the sidelines for these kids because the humidity and the heat will be crazy.
yeah, yeah. I tell you, it's just I feel for these high school student athletes having to get out. The very first day that they had the padded practices, it was 100 degrees across the state. And of course, I know very few coaches are going to get their kids out. Of course, you've got the wet bulb now. Again, another one of these state-of-the-art detection systems they've got for the safety of these kids, to where if it's a combination of the weather, the temperature, and the humidity. Thomas County Central, they do their Midnight Madness thing where they don't get out in the middle of the day. They go out at midnight. And, the fans come out and in droves and watch Thomas County Central practice. There's a lot of schools that do that, but now they're getting out in the heat. So we definitely want to make sure they take caution. All right, so Amanda Kahn is telling us Colquitt County will not make up their game.
That's not surprising. I wouldn't
Yeah.
think they would.
Daniel James gives us an update. Speaking of Creekside 32-0 on Seminole, Florida. That game has gone final. Jose Padilla checking in with us. What's up, Jose? Big Thomas County Central fan. Yes, I was at TCC, 2 weather delays. Chandler Howell gives us an update, Mark. I think this is that same group you're watching. American Heritage just kicked a field goal to beat St. Joseph's.
Yeah,
31-28.
31-28. I was just watching it. That's unbelievable. St. Joseph was winning 28-0. American Heritage scores 31 unanswered.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
that
How
goes to
about
show you
that?
it's never over till it's over, right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, crazy.
What a comeback.
Yeah, Alan Clinton said there's 5 college games on TV tomorrow. Best one's Iowa State and Kansas. Looks like they play at noon on ESPN. So that does make it challenging sometimes. I mean, if your high school game gets kicked get off till Saturday, certainly want to watch your favorite college team.
All right. Does anybody have any updates on the Grayson Rabun Gap? Mark gave us an update a few minutes ago. Grayson had taken the lead after trailing most of that game against Rabun Gap Nakuchi. Again, Buford Benedictine, I think they're at the half mark. That game was, what was that score, Mark?
It's 21-7 halftime.
Buford?
Buford.
Yep. McEachern defeats North Cobb tonight. I'll tell you this, guys, and look, I don't think this is a bad thing, but we're seeing the landscape of high school football changing. And what I mean by that, look at Irwin County, who has been dominant for as long as I can remember under Coach Soliday, Casey Soliday. I'll tell you guys something. If you see a longtime coach who just ups and leaves, to me, that's a telltale sign that he probably knows, hey, the cupboard's about to be bare.
Come on, Phil. Now
You don't
come
think
on.
so?
You just said it's gonna run out if it looks like no players coming up. Now,
Well,
I don't know that. Especially in these South Georgia communities, I think you have coaches that weather some of those ups and downs. I don't think they'll just jump out, of course, unless a better opportunity comes knocking. They can
yeah.
go somewhere else.
Yeah, and
But
that's the exception. I know that Coach Soliday left to go join his brother at Tiftier Academy. And look, it may have been time for him to step away. I know he's able to go to, from the GHSA to the GISA, but I'm just looking at Irwin County, 12-2 team last year, and boy, they so far have have really had a down year. By the way, Mark, I predicted this because I saw that they were losing everybody, and I didn't have Irwin in my preseason top 10, and man, I caught a lot of heat for it. So far, though, Irwin 0-2, and I don't think they scored a point yet. But
well,
anyway,
I think, Phil, look, the thing is, and we've talked about that. I mean, when you lose a lot of good players in these small South Georgia towns,
right,
maybe maybe you don't have the kids in the next couple of classes coming up.
right,
No one's moving to Osceola, so you're not going to get a move in. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, just being real, and
sure,
we can all say what we want, but look, there's kids moving around in certain areas.
no doubt.
Obviously, up north, we don't just see it as much in South Georgia because there's just not as many people. So it's very difficult for a lower classification school in South Georgia. You even look at a Bowden. I
Yep,
mean, they're the same area as Carrollton. I mean, odds are they're in a community that's growing. They probably get some move-ins or some people moving around. So It's tough on like an Osceola or Fitzgerald or Thomasville or Quitman. Of course, I got to tell you, I was in Thomasville. We all know about Thomasville, great South Georgia town. If any South Georgia town is going to get some movement, it's probably Thomasville. It's a great town.
It really is. That is a great South Georgia town.
It
100%
is.
agree with you. Our buddy Jerry Harrison, big Monroe area fan, checking in. Jerry, what's Monroe area doing tonight? Are they playing? Mike Thompson says Irwin also has only about 25, 30 kids playing. And listen, I'm with you. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, and Mark said it, there comes a time when every program has a downtime, has a down period. You're going to have a dry spell. And I think Irwin's going through that. But hey, I'll tell you this, Irwin has certainly had the success over the past decade. That's for sure.
Well, look, if there's a team that consistently wins every single year, they're either A, they're in a very densely populated area where they have good feeder programs, or they're getting moved. That's the only way you can win every year.
Yep. Well, Obadiah Farley has just given us one of the best updates of the night. Mark, you want to talk about Lee County dodging a bullet. Obadiah Farley tells us that Lee County has called their game and they're going to reschedule it. It was 0-0 at halftime. You and I were both shocked at that score
Yeah, who were they
against
playing?
Hateville Charter.
Yeah. Were they at Hatfield or at Lee County?
I think they were at Lee County. But let me tell you, that is not a game that you want to lose. So I would say, and maybe we'll get Dean Fabrizio to check in with me. I'll reach out to him. Usually Coach Fabrizio and I talk on Friday nights after their game. We'll see if he can maybe give us an update or two. But Lee County, again, I think that they probably are breathing a sigh of relief tonight that game has been called, Mark. 0-0.
You think so? I mean, if they were at home, I would have thought they'd wanted to get that game played. When we were at College Hill Grayson, I asked one of the officials because there was another delay, and I said, "Do you know what time they're going to kick?" And he said, "Well, it looks like 9:50." And I said, "Well, so it's not going to get canceled." He said, "Look, both these coaches told me they would get this game in no matter what. They do not want to cancel this game."
Which game was that?
That was Grayson College Hill. He just said they want to get this game in. They do not want to cancel. So they
Gotcha.
notified us. Both sides did. Said, "Hey, we'll hang in here. We want to play it." So I'm surprised Coach Fabrizio just didn't go tell them they wanted to play it. I mean, that's a long haul for Hayfield Charter if I got to come back down to Lee County. I mean, if I'm Hayfield Charter, I'd have been pushing to play the game, especially if
Yeah,
it's 0-0.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, man, everything for Hateville, and like I said, I think for Lee County, they're like, hey, man, if let's get the heck out of here and get ready for next week. It's just a no-win situation for Lee County. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at that.
Well, yeah. Anytime you have that kind of game, people say, "Well, hey, why do you play that? Because if you lose, then it's a bad reflection on you. If you win, well, you should have won." So I don't know.
That's right.
I would be shocked if they'd have let it play out. I don't know that. I don't believe Lee County would have lost that game, but you never know.
Mark Cole is checking in. What's up, Mark? Mark says a Daresville lost 31-17. What is the rule procedure on blocked field goal? And can a school petition for a hearing? Well, Mark, I'm not sure what you're asking there, brother. The rule procedure on a blocked field goal, and can a school petition for a hearing based on what? Give me a little bit more clarity on that, brother.
Well, if it's
All right.
31-17, I don't know that a field goal would have helped. But
Right.
maybe it was
Yep.
at a critical point in the game and had momentum switch or something.
Maybe so. If you can give us a little more detail on that, appreciate that, Mike. Alan Clanton says Wilcox and Clinch. Boy, this has been a wild and woolly game tonight. Says it looks like they're going to finish the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game right around midnight. Alan, what is the latest score on that one? Wilcox and Clinch. Again, I mentioned this earlier. We've got Clinch. Clinch is our new number one team in Class 1A Division 1. And so they definitely do not want to suffer an upset tonight at the hands of Wilcox. Boy, wouldn't that be huge, though, for Wilcox County if they could knock off Clinch?
What is that score? Do we know?
I don't. I think it was pretty close earlier, maybe even tied. Alan, a 14-13 Clinch.
Okay.
Zachary Davis is asking for a Cook score. Zachary, the last I had was Cook was up 15-3 at the half. Lowndes, Valdosta both win big tonight. Looking for an update. Anybody got an update on Mill Creek and Norcross? Again, those are two teams. Again, talking about teams that have seen better days. Powerhouses for the last decade, the Mill Creek Hawks. Josh Lovelady. You had the coach at Norcross Blue Devils head football coach, resigned this offseason. And you got to wonder what Norcross, what kind of season they're going to have this year. Anybody got an update on that one? Mill Creek and Norcross, again, two historically strong programs.
Yeah, Norcross has had some great teams in the past. I know, years past, they, were among the best in the state. They had a couple of tough games. I remember in the semifinal game, Cochrane went up. I believe played Norcross. In fact, weather played a factor that night. I believe. I think they beat Cochrane.
Okay, so Mark Cole says, and here's the clarification, said we blocked the field goal and Pepperell ran it to advance it. But our announcer said it was a dead ball foul. So what is the procedure and process? So if you're saying that your team is a Daresville, you blocked the field goal and Pepperell picked it up to run it to advance, that's correct. It's a dead ball. They cannot take a blocked field goal and advance it. You guys could have. You could have picked it up and run it back for a touchdown. Mark, I'm assuming that's what you're asking. Let me know. 45-28. Somebody's giving me an update. 45-28 Norcross on Mill Creek. Wow.
So I'm assuming Norcross won.
Yeah, don't know. Is that final, guys? Let me know. Alan Clanton says 45-28 Norcross has defeated Mill Creek. And again, remember, Mark, and to our viewers, we're what? 2-3 years removed from Mill Creek dominating the highest classification in the state, winning the state championship. I mean, they were dominant, was Mill Creek.
Well, but let's keep in mind they had Caleb Downs.
Great call.
Caleb Downs, he is a game changer. Probably maybe the best player in college football now, certainly in everybody's top 5.
Mark Cole says, yes, that is correct. In my high school loss, 31-17. Yeah, Mark, so I think I think I'm right on that. If we've got anybody that maybe can check my stats or check my facts, I should say. But I believe, Mark, I'm telling you right. I don't believe Pepperell would have been able to pick that ball up and advance it. But let me know, brother. Or somebody else can let me know on that one.
Well,
you understand what he's asking, Mark?
That one, but obviously on the extra points, you can't do anything. But I think if you block a field goal, you make it pick it up and take it back. I mean, look, you remember in college, I know in college you can pick it up and take it back. If I'm not
right. But what he's saying is that the team that kicked it, his team blocked it. Pepperell picked it up and was trying to advance it.
The team kicking it picked it up and advanced it.
Which you cannot do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But guys, I'm somebody fact check me on that one. But Mark, thank you so much, brother, for asking us about that and checking out the show. Mark, I don't remember seeing you in our past show, so welcome into the show, Mark. Mark, where are you checking out the show from, friend? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, Phil Corson, we know that the officials can make a mistake occasionally, right? I mean,
No.
these high school football officials, man, they don't stand a chance. I mean, half the people gonna love them, half the people gonna hate them. They're not making a lot of money. I never will forget, and this has been years ago. Rush was in Warner Robins. He was playing Northside, and I quit Northside. Northside had a great team, and a down got taken from the Packers. It was should have been third down, and they had fourth down on the sticks, but it legitimately should have been third. They ran the play, and Rush, he's West third down, and he thinks he's got another play, and they say no, that was fourth down, and it must have stopped the game for 10 minutes. You know, Everybody was up in arms about it, which in that case, they made a mistake, but that was a critical mistake.
I don't see how that can happen. You know what I mean?
I'm
Yeah, that
telling
that
you,
is yeah.
I've never. That's the only time I've ever heard of it, but it was legit. I saw it. He had a down taken from
How is that? In this day and age when you've got the chain gang,
him.
you know, I just don't see how that can happen. It's amazing.
A lot of funny things have happened at McConnell Talbot over the years.
You're right. That is one of the craziest stadiums, one of the greatest venues to watch a football game. By the way, Mark Cole says he's watching from Bartow County.
Bartow County, okay.
Yep. Appreciate that. We always are interested where you guys are checking out the show from. We got a lot of South Georgia people, but we got a lot of people from all over the state checking out the show.
Looks like Grayson won 24-19 is what we're seeing.
Wow. David Woods, thank you for that. Also, Daniel James tells us it says it's fourth quarter, but David Woods says it's final. 24-19. Wow. What a game. Incredible.
Yeah, I didn't think Grayson would lose their home opener.
Greg Hammock tells us Peach County beat Perry 27-6. A little bit of a surprise. Guys, let me tell you, we talk about great coaches, Marquise Westbrook. Remember what he did at Warner Robins? We were just talking about Warner Robins. All those consecutive state championship games that he led Warner Robins to. I think it was five championship games in a row.
Yeah, he went to 5 in a row, I believe.
Yep. And he leaves Warner Robins, goes to Peach County. And Peach County, don't get me wrong, they had some success or had a good bit of success under Chad Campbell. But now it looks like Maurice Westbrook is back to his ways of building a championship caliber program. So we're going to keep an eye on that.
Phil has always had great athletes. I don't know what it is about Peach County, but
Yep,
they always seem to have good athletes.
exactly. David Woods tells us, Mark, that had 2 fumbles in the end zone. I'm assuming he's talking about Raven Gap. How about that? Clarify that for us.
2 fumbles in the end zone and great.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Clarify that for us, David. Which team had 2 fumbles in the end zone, brother? Let us know. Mylan Blosser is back. Says, what's up, fellas? I had a fish fry tonight and just finally hitting the show. Valdosta and Lowndes both won big again. Yeah, Mylan, they both had a couple of yawners tonight. Valdosta all over Monday's Mill, and Lowndes defeated Mount Zion Jonesboro tonight I think they scored combined like 200 points.
So listen, Marlon, if you had a fish fry at a tailgate fish fry, send us some of those pictures. You may win the Sunset
Yes.
Farm Foods tailgate of the week. Now, of course, when we send you those sausage, you've got to you know you've got to get a smoker so you can make it happen. So it looks like we lost Phil for a minute there. Phil, you back? All right. All right, so it looks like we lost Phil for a minute. Buford just scored again. It is about to be 28-7, and looks like they're starting to roll. See if we can get Phil back in here. I believe he having a little technical difficulties with Phil. Okay. All right, trying to get Phil back in. I'm not seeing him. We may have to see if we can get him to restart. Okay. Adairsville had over 200 yards in penalties. Wow. You cannot win with 200 yards in penalties. That is crazy. So Buford's about to kick back off to Benedictine. 28-7, 9 minutes, 51 seconds left in the third. That may be a little bit of surprise. I know a lot of people felt like that game would be close. So it looks like Grayson had two fumbles in the end zone. Okay, let me see if I can get Phil back in here. Give me just a minute here. Okay. All right. Okay, all right. Phil says he can hear and see you, but I cannot see him, and he is not on our screen. Can you guys see Phil in the chat? Can you guys see Phil? I am not seeing him. Okay, Phil, you there?
I am here.
All right. All right, I'm back with you. I see you
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I've been sitting here. I was able to click back in, and but you're able to see me now, right?
Yes. Yep. We can
Technical
see.
difficulties, man. Let me tell you.
Oh, somebody's just reporting that Lee County is going to play the second half.
Really?
Yes. Looks like those boys from Hateville said, "Hey, we want to make it happen."
Wow. How about that? So, let's see, quite a few results coming in here. By the way, are you guys able to see me? Still getting Mark. You can see me and hear me, right?
Yes, I can see and hear you.
Okay, guys, let me know out there if you confirm that you guys can see and hear me. I know some of you guys are still saying that you can't. All right. That's pretty interesting, by the way, on Lee County, Hateville. Thanks, Alan. So I thought that they had pretty much decided to stop that game. Thanks for the confirmation, guys. I'm glad to be back. That's pretty interesting. By the way, it looks like several people, Mark, and I think you're able to watch that Buford game, are you not, Mark?
Yeah, I am, and it's 28-7. They just intercepted a Benedictine pass. It looks like they are about to get it going there. They're on Benedictine's 29, 1st and 10.
Here we go. The Wolves about to bust loose.
Is that really a
Listen,
surprise, though?
no, Mark, listen. I mean, Buford, let's face it, Mark. Buford's got the team. And I said this last year. I said the year before. They've got the team to get it done. And it's just about finishing the drill. They've got the best athletes. They got the best of everything. I think Coach Brian Appling is one of the best coaches in the state.
But
Now,
Phil,
go
we
ahead.
got to think about it. As far as do they have, I think that Grayson has just as good of athletes. Maybe if you could say from the top to bottom, maybe not even better. Douglas County has some good athletes. I mean, I think you've got really in 6A, you've got about 4 or 5 teams that athlete wise, they all pass the eye test. I mean, I think anything can happen.
Yeah, and listen, I hear you. But I think consistently, from top to bottom. I mean, look at all the D1 recruits that Buford has. Look at the D1 athletes that they have year after year after year. I don't know. And I think they feel, probably they have underperformed. And I'm not saying anything that, Coach Appling doesn't know about. I mean, like I said, I respect the guy. I think he's a great coach. But it's just one of these deals where you just keep waiting for Buford to put it together. And I tell you, the way they're looking right now, the way they're looking this year, they came away with that big win against Milton. And Mark, what Milton did tonight, by the way, if you're joining us late, guys, Milton did come away with a big win tonight over, what was it, First Academy, Mark?
Yes, the First Academy in Orlando.
So Milton, a huge victory. And like Mark said, Mark was up there last week. Mark said that, it came down to the last play. Milton had a chance to beat Buford. Imagine beating Buford in the debut of that brand new stadium. Point being, Milton has got a great team. Buford had to fight off a great Milton team last week. I'm just saying that's two really good football teams, but this might be Buford's year.
Well, and just watching this game with Benedictine, Buford is starting to run the ball now. Their offensive line is starting to move the line of scrimmage. And when you can start doing that, it opens everything up. I know they ran it a lot against Milton. So, we know that's the style of football that Buford likes to play, physical in the trenches, get that running game going, and then it opens up everything.
Absolutely. Again, guys, thanks so much for checking in with us. About 20 minutes left to go in our Friday night extra point special Friday night edition of the show. Appreciate you guys bearing with us through some of the technical difficulties. We are also not, immune to the weather. And I'm sure this is probably causing some of our issues. Some of the scores, again, that we had from earlier. Richmond Hill, that game's been rescheduled. Richmond Hill, Glen Academy been rescheduled to tomorrow. Tift County, Gadsden, we think has been rescheduled. They may not play that game. Colquitt Monroe may not play tomorrow. In fact, I think they've decided not to play that game. Again, it's kind of tough to reschedule these games when they really don't count. They're non-region games. Looking for an update, by the way, guys, on Sumter Griffin. The last score I had was Sumter 24-6 on Griffin. Pretty interesting situation there in that you've got Griffin, a big 6A school, and you got Sumter, a 2A school.
Yeah, by the way, Phil, Buford just scored again.
Well, you're right, Mark. You called it. They are off and running now.
Yeah, 5:47. It's about to be 35-7.
And that game was pretty close for what, a half?
Yeah, 35-7. It'll be a happy ride for Buford tonight.
I'm sitting there typing or texting a Buford fan right now who's been keeping me updated. He's actually trying to find our show now. He's gotten bored watching the Buford game.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Phil, when I was up there a few weeks ago talking to Tony Wolf,
Yeah.
you know, he said they hadn't had like a ton of NFL players to come through there. They have a lot of recruits, but NFL player wise, there's only been a couple really. You know, most people do think, as you were saying, and they do have a lot of D1 recruits, but he was pointing out. He said, everybody says we always have all these players, but it's not like they have a ton of NFL guys.
Cook has defeated Bainbridge tonight, 22-6. That game obviously was delayed because of the weather. And you got Cook, my buddy Dr. Mike McCartney, giving us an update. Cook, the Hammering Hornets, 22-6 over Bainbridge, says the defense was dominant. Well, I'll tell you, there's another solid coach for Cook in Byron Slack, Mark.
Doing a great job. Cook County, they always, seems like they always find some good running backs over there. Go back to Shannon Brown, who is one of the best high school football players I've ever seen when he was at Cook County.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. Let's see here who we got. Mark Cole, who was asking the field goal question earlier, Mark Cole in Bartow County, asked us, how strong do y'all think Calhoun versus Carterville game in 2 weeks, September the 5th, will be? Cartersville, a big win tonight over Rockmart. Of course, Calhoun, you're defending 3A state champions. Right now, I got to give it to Calhoun.
Calhoun will be hard to beat.
They will be. And remember, they were talking about, Rockmart having the freshman quarterback. Somebody give me his name. Remember, it was Trace Hawkins, the freshman last year for Calhoun, who had his coming out party. I just love these ninth graders that step up and are able, 14, 15-year-old Mark, to prove that they belong.
Well, they're trained early now, Phil. I'll tell you. I mean, these kids, they go to all these camps. They start, they start getting programmed when they're 10 years old. So, yeah, it is a little bit of surprise that you can step in and do it. But then again, it's not because they start preparing so early.
Yeah. Sierra Cravey is wanting to know anything on Worth County. Sierra, Worth County 28-0 on Irwin. That game was called early, but it was all Worth County tonight, 28-0.
My Rams, I think they're going to be another hard out this year. Hey, Sylvester, Georgia, Worth County.
Yeah, that is Mark's team for sure.
Hey, you got to root for your alma mater.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. James Reamer says Score Atlanta shows Sumter 42-13 over Griffin as the final score. Yeah, that might be right. Again, I had 24-6 as the final, so that would line up pretty close to what the final would be. Man, I tell you, that's how about Sumter County? Wow. Getting it done.
That's a shot. Now, Tiff County beat Griffin last week, correct?
They did, but it was a pretty tight game. Tiff County won that game on the last possession. Actually, they won it having to stop a last second Griffin, I think, goal line stand. Rusty Hall checking in says, how about the Ware County Gators? That's a big win for Ware tonight. Rusty, Ware County getting it done over there in their backyard one of the most unique stadiums in the state of Georgia is Ware County's Memorial Stadium. Mark, have you ever been to a game there?
I've been there to a game, but it has been many, many years ago. So I'm sure it's different now. That's one of the few
So,
places
yeah.
I haven't been.
Okay. So, Ware County Stadium, okay, former Southern League baseball stadium. And they configured it for football, but they kept the original grandstands behind home plate grandstands. So the way the stadium is configured, some of the best seats in the stadium, and they're covered because, again, the grandstands at small parks like minor league parks, all the seats behind home plate are covered. So they left that part of the old baseball stadium the way it is. In fact, if you walk up on Memorial Stadium in Ware County from the outside, it looks like you're walking into a baseball stadium. So when you walk in there, some of the best seats in the stadium are in the end zone, in that southeast corner of the end zone. And it's just very unique, a very rare thing that you see where some of the best seats in the stadium are going to be, of course, at the 50-yard line. Very unique place.
Yeah, and Phil, it's been like that for. It was like that when I was there. It's just been so
Yeah.
long. I'm sure it's been renovated since then.
Probably so. I would think so. But man, that's a great place to watch a football game. I tell you, just love that. Mark Cole's asking, anybody got a score update on Cass versus Model? I don't have anything on that. If anybody can help our buddy Mark Cole out, we'd appreciate that. Again, a lot of games tonight affected by the weather. In fact, Mark, I would guess probably 75, 80% of the games tonight were affected by weather one way or the other.
And it seems like this time of the year that does happen a lot. Talking to some coaches, they'd be a proponent of starting the season in a couple of weeks. 2 weeks later than it starts, really.
All right, if you're just joining us, some updates for you. Coosa Christian, that's Rush Prost's team, coming from Alabama, from Gadsden, Alabama, I believe it is. Am I right about that? Anyway, they gave Pierce County all they could handle. Now, the last I heard, I think Pierce County was ahead in that game. I don't know if we ever got the final on that. If anybody's got a final
Pierce County won that game. Yes.
Okay, got you. So Mark was asking about Cass and Model. Cass wins at 55-14, thanks to James Raymer and Alan Clanton for updates on that one. Appreciate that. McEachern shuts out North Cobb tonight. Look out for the Indians. They are back. Kareem Reed. Give us a chance, by the way, to tell you about Kareem Reed. Don't forget to check out the Kareem Reed McEachern Coaches Show, one of 6 coaches shows that we do here at ITG Next. You can also check out the Colquitt County Coaches Show with Sean Calhoun and myself. Mark, we're having a blast doing these coaches shows this year.
Yes, a lot of fun to hear from those coaches on Monday. And again, I believe it looks like it's going to be a clean sweep again. What are the odds of that?
I love it.
Talking about good luck. Phil, you're good luck for these folks.
So, guys, it's on Mondays. We start things off. Of course, we record these. You guys can watch them soon afterwards. But just for our sake, so we do the Jeremy Edwards Coaches Show, House and County Coach. Of course, they opened up with a win in the Corky Hill Classic last week. They had a big game, by the way, tonight against Effingham County. Does anybody know what happened in that? Give us an update on that game, Effingham and Houston County. The last score I heard, it was close. I can't remember what the score was, guys. We're 11:50, 10 minutes to go on the show. Let's try to get as many of these updates as we can on these final scores. But we do the Houston County J.T. Thompson. We do the Tiff County Coaches Show. McEachern Coaches Show, Tiff County. Who am I missing out here? McEachern, Tiff, Houston County, Colquitt. Two more. Who are we doing? Who am I missing out on?
This.
Worth County.
Well, Buford just
Worth
scored
County.
again. So, Worth County, yeah. Buford was about to be 42-7, but Worth County, Houston County, Shaw Calhoun at Colquitt, Roswell,
Tiff.
McEachin, Tiff.
And McEachern. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the six. Yep. That's it.
That's a good mix.
It is. Our buddy Austin A.B. Butler is checking in from up in Rome. What's up, brother? Austin A.B. Butler's had a big night tonight. So Jane Harbin Cuppet tells us that Hoco won that game a shootout tonight. No surprise. It seems like, Mark, every game Houston County and Jeremy Edwards is in is going to be a shootout. 56-42. They score a lot of points, but they give up points.
They do give up points, but I got to tell you, he can move the ball. Houston County, you're right, always scores a lot of points.
I talked to Jeremy Edwards this morning. Got a 15-year-old sophomore quarterback, coach or quarterback in the team, Ryan Maxwell.
Well, he always seems to find a good quarterback.
He does.
Fromm was at Houston County.
Yep. Mark Cole tells us I actually watched the Walton McEachern game last week. It was a great game for McEachern. Yeah, McEachern rolled in that game. Again, that was another one of the games in the Corky Kill Dave Hunter Classic. McEachern off to a great start so far.
All right, so Phil, we got 7 minutes to go here. What are your takeaways from tonight?
Well, obviously,
let me say preliminary takeaways. I know you'll have time to think on that tomorrow.
Okay. So, first of all, Mark, I can't remember a night that weather affected so many games. I mean, and what I mean by that is we've seen games from the north part of the state, north of Atlanta, south of Macon, in the middle part of the state. We saw games all over in the coast. Just about every section of the state, every region of the state tonight was affected by weather. I can't remember the widespread weather impact that we had tonight. I can't remember it being this widespread.
I agree. That's definitely the theme of the night, weather.
My other takeaways, Milton showed us that they are not going away, that they are here to stay, and that Ben Reeves is one of the best coaches in the state.
You're right about that, and especially now seeing what Buford is doing to Benedictine, that, as close as that Milton Buford game was, but you always can't go by, well, this team lost by just a few points and a lot, but it looks like Buford is as good as advertised.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Buford, obviously, they get the big win last week. And think about how tough that is, Mark, to open up at home against a tough Milton team. And then you got to go on the road and get back up for a team like Benedictine. It would have been easy for Buford to have a letdown. And that did not happen tonight.
That did not happen. And look, they have a tough schedule. I mean, they have a very tough schedule this year.
Another big takeaway was Grayson, like championship programs do, Mark. Grayson fought. They got every bit from Rabun Gap that they could handle. But in the end, Grayson proved their championship medal. And they come away tonight with a big win. Kerry Clayton reminds us that it's Benedictine, not Benedictine.
I mispronounce I mispronounce about every name all the time. Sorry about that.
Well, it depending on what mood you catch me in, I'm either pronouncing it as Benedictine or Benedictine. When I first moved to Cumming, Georgia, lived up there for 10 years. Took me about a year for somebody to finally come to me and said, hey, Phil, it's not Forsyth. It's Forsyth.
Well, look, I'm from South Georgia, so there's no telling how I pronounce a lot of things.
Amen to that. Mike Sorensen, big Tiff County fan, checking in with us, says Tiff County softens those Bears up for Sumter. I hear you, brother. Yeah, Tiff County is going to be taking on the Hoco Bears. All right, Alan Clanton, he's been keeping us up to speed on this Wilcox-Clinch County game. Says they're about to put 5-10 minutes on the clock and let players warm back up for finishing the Clinch-Wilcox game. That has been a crazy kind of game. How about that?
That is a crazy game, and if anybody knows, are Lee County and Hapeville, in fact, going to finish that game?
Yep. Let us know about that for sure, guys. Definitely. Also, takeaways from tonight. You'd asked me about takeaway. Collins Hill, maybe my surprise team, and not necessarily in a good way. Mark, they're off to an 0-2 start, and it looks like our buddy Drew Swick is going to have to go back to the drawing board and find some offense.
Yeah, it was tough. They struggled against Grayson, and obviously struggling again tonight. Yeah, he will have to figure something out.
In case you joined us late, Woodward Academy defeating Collins Hill tonight, 13-7. So that's 10 points total in the first two games for Collins Hill. You know, the I guess the crazy thing there, Collins Hill got a great defense, Mark. Deuce Geralds, Cottrell Webb, two of the best defensive linemen in the state, but defense is not their problem at Collins Hill. Obviously, it's offense. So,
yeah, hopefully he'll get it turned around. You never know.
So a couple of minutes left to go. Mark, I know you got to get up early in the morning. Why don't you tell folks where you're going to be heading?
Yeah, getting up early, heading to Fort Lauderdale for the modern-day St. Thomas Aquinas game, and then catch some of the St. Francis Chamonix Madonna game after that. So it will be it'll be a long haul. Of course, I am in Jacksonville tonight, so I'm 2 hours closer than if I were in Valdosta.
Absolutely. Still going to be a haul. I want to wish you guys safe travels down there. I do want to remind everybody that we'll be back in a couple of nights. Monday night, we'll be back for our regular Monday edition of Extra Point, and that's at 5 o'clock. Mark, you'll be here with me. Yeah. I'm laughing because I had to correct Mark last week that it was 5:30. Tonight, Mark reminds me that it's 5:30. But anyway, we'll be back with you Monday, 5:30 to 7. And obviously, we'll keep you up to speed on all these games that have been rescheduled. So we'll be able to give you the complete rundown of games that were finished, either canceled, whether they're going to be made up or not. We'll be able to give you an update on all that on Monday, 5:30, right here on Extra Point.
Well, Phil, you going to stay up later and see if you can tune into that Lee County game?
I am. I'm going to stay up for a little while, and I'll probably be hitting the sack around 2:30. Going to get caught up on all the high school football.
2:30, okay. All right.
Yeah, wound up now, brother.
Well, Phil, listen, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it also, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, Phil. We'll look forward to catching back up.
Absolutely. Mark, safe travels down to South Florida. Guys, we'll see y'all Monday. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Like Mark said, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to catch all of our content at ITG Next, and we'll see you guys Monday on Extra Point right here on ITG Next, our social media platforms. Until